Hello there, this is CAN Kenan from Kenan Plays, and today we're going to play part 12 of Burokku Girls. Alright, let's continue, and we'll be right in amidst of the fight, alright? So we're going to fight Nev now. Any other time, the fact that someone wanted to kill me would likely have gotten me to pause and rethink my current course of action. You know, basic self-preservation kicking in. But I had been through so much and we were on the brink of destruction, and I was so caught up in finally being able to fight back that those two words flew right in one ear and out the other. The two words were kill him, right? I again focused on Nev, who was advancing with several ducklings upon Liana position. Whoa, here she comes, here she comes. However, I didn't pay a fair amount of attention when Andy slid a few fresh arrows into her crossbow and pointed in my direction. Still too caught up in the adrenaline rush to think, I responded to the threat of the arrow the way I had in many video games. I held up my shield before me so that it was ready to block the shot. Of course, in the back of my mind, I realized there was a chance that an arrow could pierce this cruddy shield, or that a smart archer could have easily aimed below it and go for my feet and legs. But at the time, I was too full of fury and adrenaline to be really thinking, so I likely would have been in a very big trouble. That is, until I slipped. At first, I couldn't understand what happened, but then in the back of my mind, I remembered just how thoroughly soaked in slime the underworlders and their forces had been as a result of using Gwenor whole pot to get inside. And the slime hadn't magically disappeared, and patches of it had been left all over the place as the ducklings and their cruel mistress had swarmed over the village. And naturally enough, my foot had just found a large puddle for the stuff, sending me flying off my feet and crushing to the ground. But I didn't stop there. Between my current momentum and the fact that the goo made a great lubricant, I was sent skidding wildly across the ground, crying out in dismay as I shot towards Andy, who was already turning to get away. Sounds like some comic relief, right? But it was already too late. I went crashing right into her, knocking the underwater archers right off her feet and on top of mine. On top of mine? What? Well, this is the first time Takeshi actually fall on somebody instead of someone falling on him, right? And so the two of us started crying out as we skidded across the ground, crashing into multiple ducklings, sending them scattering. Well, sounds like some those kind of Disney kind of thing where two of them will slide and everyone else will fly off like some bowling pins because they were crashing into them or something like that. Well, can you guys imagine that? Whoa, and of course she was defeated like that, right? Right until the point where we crashed into the wall, and I wound up with Andy's leg wrapped around my neck. Whoop, typical. And my head positioned precisely above where it had no business being. Well, I wouldn't expect your head to be anywhere else. Maybe besides her cleavage though. Yeah, these are the only two places it can be. This is like something right out of an anime. It is an anime. As I struggled to disengage myself from the current predicament, a feminine groan was heard. Whoa, she feels good. A groaning that turned out to be coming from Andy as those eyes rolled up in her socket and was now completely prone. Realizing that serving as an airbag that had insulated me from smashing into the wall hadn't done her any favors whatsoever, I hurriedly tossed Andy aside and struggled to get back to my feet. Well, they defeated one of the underworlder. Unfortunately, that slippery slime was too quickly to thwart my effort, causing me to skid about wildly as I tried to find an effective hole. And then I really ran out of luck. I don't have time to waste on you. With this venomous declaration, Nev looked a series of fireballs in my direction. Still unable to get to my feet, I lifted my shield so it could take the blow. Bam! Unfortunately, my shield's poor condition didn't stop it from sparing a direct hit of the flame. And it also brought me the precious moment I needed to regain my footing and started towards her. Sword held high, I charged with a cry of fury, intent on ending this nightmare here and now. But before I could get close enough to put my sword to work, tendrils of Navia's hair shot towards me, snagging me by the ankles and then by the wrist. Whoa, sexy, sexy. Crying out in dismay as I was knocked off my feet, my horror worsened as when I felt my sword slipping from my grasp. I hurriedly tried to snatch it mid-air, but even as I did so, I was heaved up even higher until I was dangling helplessly a few feet in the air, just out of reach of the ground. I saw what the budding girl did to you. I saw your strength, and I know it's only a matter of time before it wears off. So I think I just leave you hanging there until it does and deal with you then. Now then, maybe I don't even need to have to wait long. You know what? Just use your sword to cut off her hair, right? At first, I didn't understand what Neff meant by that, but then I heard the sound of something large moving. Looking around, I saw to my horror the gates of the Kehe village were now swinging open. Somehow, the ducklings had gotten to whatever controls were used to work the doors, and even more of the underworld slaves are spilling into the village, sending the people stumbling back against the wall in terror. And as I watched Andy recovered and spotted a sick, ghosting smile, at last this war is over, we've won. Get the head of the village, it's time to turn them to darkness. No! Looking about, I saw Liana back in the corner and Zen and a few other guards fighting hard against what had to be twice as many ducklings, with several more of their fellow lying upon the ground. And when I saw this, I looked at the rest of the village. Time seemed to slow down as I took in the full magnitude of horrors surrounding me. Everywhere I looked, the same horrors I had seen in the previous village being repeated, and every evil that humanity was capable of, every barbarism the mind could conceive was unleashed upon the people around me. Cries of despair and screams of horror filled the air, filling the expression of the three underworlders girls with such deep pleasure. And with each moment that passes, it became much clearer we had lost. Oh, how I love this part. We are finally going to be free. We are done. We have fought hard and had ultimately lost. But as I looked at the sick, gothic face worn by the underworlders, one last flame of rebellion began burning brightly inside of me. And even though I was suspended off the ground without any leverage, I could still see my battered sword just below me. And as I looked, it occurred to me that Neff was distracted, too focused on the victory that was all but in her grasp to pay any real attention to me. So perhaps there's one chance left. I realized that while the ducklings possessed a numerical superiority, there were still only 3 underworlders, and if they could be stopped, they couldn't turn Liana to darkness. So if I could reach my sword and cut my way free, my thought pitted me out of this, my conscious mind, unwilling to paint gruesome image that those thoughts conjure. But I didn't stop trying to grab my sword. Sorry there, I stumbled upon my words. I didn't look to see if the underworlder noticed me. I didn't turn to look towards the latest screams or barbarity being committed. I just kept straining, doing whatsoever I could to reach my sword. Yes, that is good, you should do that. Unfortunately, I had been right. In her distraction, Neff wasn't paying attention to me, wasn't keeping me far off to the ground as before, and so many questing fingers were able to pat the ground next to my sword. Come on, there's still time, you can stop them, you just have to stop them, stop. An instant later, a pattern of light, almost like a circuit board, appeared around where my fingers had touched the ground. Whoa, looks like his father is helping him. Lights that reached out of the block right beneath the 2 underworld girls, which then rose up. What? Lights that reached out to the blocks right beneath the 2 underworld girls, then rose up. What? Whoa, someone is here, right? Whoa. The shifting in the ground sent both of them flying off balance. Crying out in surprise, Andy and Nev windmilled their arms in desperate attempts to stay on their feet, but ultimately fell flat on their faces. And since Nev was the one holding me up, I very nearly did the same, but I had been able to catch myself just in time to land on my hands and knees. And while most were either distracted or preoccupied with the underworlders that had planted their face into the ground, I was given a few precious seconds to think, and my gamer mind immediately went to work. I had fought plenty of bosses that had been dependent upon a certain mechanical of finding or exploiting a given weakness, and so I had gotten very good at picking out on just how to beat the boss with only a few faint clues. The first of those clues was Asahi words from before. What did she say? Our world Burokku was divided into an overworld and underworld by the blocks that shape the overworld. What makes it what it is? The blocks were first created by our ancestors many ages ago, so as to make it simple to craft this world into an ideal one, a world where we could be happy and could live in a place that met our needs and took care of us. The secret is to move the blocks we lost. The secret to moving the blocks was lost a very long time ago, but even so, the land gave us everything we needed, and in return we tend to land in relative harmony. Then I flashed back to when we had arrived in Kehi village. I had stumbled against a gate. How I could wish for the gates to open for us, only to have them just do that, or seemingly without anyone opening them. The blocks, the overworld itself is all artificial, man-made, designed to be set up in a specific way and even changed into different configurations. Oh, so actually Taki, he has the ability to move the blocks, is it? Which means there has to be a way of controlling the blocks, putting them where they need to go. And if that's the case, grrrr! A hateful snarl was the only warning I had before a duckling fell on top of me, sending me rolling across the floor. Startled and scared, I have no time to recover as my back slammed into a nearby wall, leaving me momentarily dazed, stunned, and unable to do anything but look as the duckling in question growled in her hatred and drew forth a set of fireball in one in each hand. My eyes went wild and I was on the edge of panic, but I had been in a similar situation in multiple games, and the conditioning from this game kept me from losing focus on the vital game mechanics I had been upon. Instead, I did my best to exploit it. I pressed my hands to the ground on my sides. Attack her! I didn't have time to look and see if similar circuit-like grips appear in response to my command. But at the same time, frantic tactics was rewarded. Well, I think he can move the blocks, right? Yes, he can. From the wall of the building, a series of blocks erupted, flying through the air, crushing into the duckling. The slammed enemy went crashing into the ground, unconscious before she even knew what hit her. But me? I was far from unconscious. In fact, I felt a fire like the kind when I was encountering a final boss for the very first time, only on a whole new level. That I really don't think this is a game, but if it is, then I just figured how to play. Yes, I can move the blocks. And just in time, for at that very instant my effort had caught the attention of the underworld girls I had already knocked on their faces. That boy is that boy. Andy and Nev were quick to react, trying to prevent me from pulling victory from the jaws of defeat, but they couldn't move as fast as my fingers, which had pressed against the block, so he needs to press his fingers against the block in order to move them, And to my considerable delight, I again saw circuit glips, right? Can I say that? Glips appear on the blocks, allowing me to control the very surface of the two underworlders now stood upon. And just by imagining it, I was able to rearrange the blocks, forming a set of hands around the wicked women. Well, he has the ability from an anime I know. It's called a Full Metal Alchemist. I think he by touching the ground, he's able to move the ground or something like that. It's a very, very powerful ability. Hands that held them both tight until they reared back and launched the two girls through the air screaming all the way. Wow! Wow! No! And as I watched and listened to them flying, I felt a great swell of satisfaction and more flow through me. I wasn't the helpless victim anymore. I wasn't the burden that others had to protect. I could finally fight back. That was exactly what I did. My instincts told me that to continue from my present location was a bad idea. I was simply too vulnerable standing around the ground where any ducklings could get me. So I placed my hand on the blocks at my feet and began rearranging them, forming patterns that rose into the air, putting me out of harm's way. Kneeling down upon my hovering refuge, I then went to work commanding the blocks to wage this war. Whoa, power, power, power. He's so powerful, I think he can just win this war on his own, man. Before anyone realized what was happening, hundreds of blocks emerged from their slots in various surfaces and heeded my every whim. Whoa, he's so powerful, man. He can be one of the emperors in One Piece already. All around me, blocks were slamming into every duckling in sight, smashing and crashing into them and knocking them to the ground, freeing up the village defenders greatly. I watched as Dawn collected herself, sankily closing her top as she looked about the ducklings that had so gleefully violated her. Did the ducklings violated her? I'm not sure, right? I don't think Dawn was violated, because she did mention that, right? I saw Liana and the protector looking at me in sheer amazement, scarcely able to fathom what was happening. Whoa, sexy, sexy. Whoa, I managed to print screen that in time, and I saw Asahi, bruised, battered and bloody, but alive, and looking up at me like I was an angel descended from heaven to save them all. If that was the case, then I better get to work. True. The car fighting had been stopped, and as I looked about, I could see more ducklings still outside, already making their way through the village, through the gate. I mean, the first thing that needed to be done was to put them someplace where they wouldn't be able to hurt anyone, or at least until they could be freed from the darkness. And since there didn't seem to be any place convenient to put them, I would just have to make a place. Flying on my platform out past the wall surrounding the village, I found myself thinking of a classic defensive feature that was found surrounding many fantasy castles in the games I played. A moat, right? A moat, is it? While I couldn't summon a handy rainstorm for a moat, yes, he was thinking of a moat, I could most certainly dig one now, and all with just a thought. Whoa, he did that all with just a thought. That's quite powerful, right? Hey, it looks like Lego here, right? As I pictured a moat forming around the wall, the blocks that made up the landscape compound and made my vision reality. Whoa, he is very powerful, man. With this power, I think he can be one of the most powerful One Piece character. In fact, I think he can be one of the most powerful anime character besides One Punch Man. Hundreds of blocks began raising from the ground surrounding Keihi village, leaving the ducklings to scream in confusion as they began tumbling down into the massive pit I had just dug for them. They screamed and clawed and desperately tried to find a handhold which to avoid taking a plunge, but since I was able to control every single handhold, that didn't happen. I didn't know how long I had to work and how long it took to open up crevices large enough to hold every single last one of the ducklings that remained outside the village. All I know is that the final result was a gap pit so large from the air it looks like a massive donut around Keihi village were merely the hole. Alright guys, since we are going to approach the 20 minutes mark, we have to stop here. No choice, I know it's a bit random, but it's quite cool, right? Stopping at this image. Alright, so thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next part of Burokku Girls. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Whoa. Did you get scared? Well, subscribe to my channel and I promise you'll never get scared again. Or watch more videos and you will be able to find your peace in life.